Hey, hi. I'm going to take you on a short tour of Camp 7. I'm looking out now toward Elephant Rock, which is that big rock up there. And you see a kayaker in the distance. But this is my little bay at Camp 7. And here are my steps up from my beach. And here we get to the main living area. That tree there is where I hang my fairy lights, but I've taken him down because I'm breaking camp for the last day. This red shelter does not belong to me. It was left here by the ranger who was camping a week and a half prior to my arrival. And he just left it here to mark the site for me because I was doing some work for the state park. And it's been really handy having that as a primary shelter, which then let me use my own tarps as a secondary shelter down here on what I call the avenue. Here's my drying line. I'm about to bag and stow both that tarp and that blanket. And this shelter, it looked a lot prettier before the storms came, but 2 nights ago there was a great deal of rain and wind being the particular element. So instead of having it be up like a raised lean-to, I lowered the whole structure and staked it to the ground to keep gear dry and make a secondary place where I could sit out of the storm if I needed to. When I first got here, there was less storm, so I had it staked up with tent poles to make a kind of a lean-to shelter. The extraordinary thing about this site is that there's this rock ledge on both sides, which make this wide, flat place here kind of a spectacular sheltered area. Unless the wind is coming directly from the south, and even then the bank gives you a little bit of protection. Here is a state issue composting toilet, very fancy. And we come a little further down the avenue. And it's just lovely and green, and the ground is flat enough so that you could pitch 3 or 4 more tents in here if you had a lot of company. I don't know that they do, but you could. It goes up a little on a rise off in that direction, but there's some more flat ground up there, but then it sinks pretty deeply into the swamp at the back of the site. So, you know, in case you had to defend the place militarily, you could do it pretty well with a small detachment, because this little inlet from the reservoir almost cuts off the land to where it disappears in swamp at the very back. So there's no 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. They're coming by sea on this site, and you have a pretty commanding view. But I love this ridge, and this ridge is on both sides, and it's rock shelf. And it adds another one of the features of this site when we get back down the avenue. I will show you. It's really lovely and green, isn't it? I know, it's super hard to be leaving this place. But you know, they've all been hard to leave in their own way. There's a little bit of a trail here, which would be the back entrance that goes over that rock shelf. And we're going to see what's on the other side of that rock shelf in a moment. Come down into the main living area. It's like living in an open plan raised ranch. I know, weird. So we come through the kitchen and main area, and there's a steep trail that goes up there to the top of that shelf, and there's a more shallow trail that I usually take for a couple of reasons. But you notice that once we get up here, we're significantly above the main tarp. And here we come into the master bedroom, which is very lovely in that when I pitched the tent here, I didn't realize that this is the site actually that has the best drainage on the entire campsite. That would be the sound of a motorboat going by. And you can see it's got a water view. It's got its own path down to the water. A little bit of a balcony thing going on here in the master bedroom. And this rock shelf kind of keeps it more isolated from the campsite. So if you had a lot of company, you could be quiet over here and let the kids and whatever be all up and down the avenue. And you'd hardly even know there were other people here. And then here, this used to be an old fire circle. And I took it and I made it into a traditional 3x3 labyrinth. Because they wanted that fire circle broke down, so I did it. But I added a little something nice. But then, and this is like my favorite part of this site, this is where I've spent most of my time. So you come up from the master bedroom, up this little trail, which leads you on to that high point we saw earlier. And this is where I have my hammock. And I've got a tarp over it to protect it from rain, and also because in the afternoon the sun is kind of strong there and heats it up, so it keeps it cool and dry, and that's a perfect place to weather a storm. But it's got fantastic views from under the canopy. There's Camel's Hump, which is a significant mountain in this state. And I've got all my projects and stuff, because your reading stuff is, this is a handy place to sit, and often with the hammock you have to put a little table next to you, but here I can just put my stuff here and have it available while I'm in my hammock. And so like, there's the view from the hammock. But this has one more really nice feature. And I'm gonna go down and play with that now. Because if you follow this little trail down this sharp point of land, and it this little birch tree keeps deciding to grow right here over the trail, but you can still make your way down through here. And then you come out on this, which is this little spit that's got views of everything, and is also a really great place to fly a kite from, because it gets the wind in 3 directions. So that's the tour of Campsite 7. And if you did not get to come and visit me while you were here, you're very sad about that. Oh, and over there's Little River State Park. Isn't that nice? And Waterbury Dam and Camel's Hump. And so it's kind of fantastic, this spot. Anyway, I'll talk to you later.